Setoni and Apostolos Loufopoulos.
Thank you very much, Scott. You did it great. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for organizing this exhibition and this launch event. It is great meeting you all here. Our work is called An Ode to a Fallen Dialogue, and it is a game poem which was produced during the pandemic. Which talks about the struggles of human communication. So it makes use of the idea of two lovers as a dialogic system, as a metaphor. And now it is important to say that I am also an architect. And as an architect, I'm interested in the idea of space, not only as a geometric and strict mathematical form, but also as a kind of anthropological dimension. So this work is inspired by the erotic ontology of cyberspace, which was introduced by Michael Heim, but also it is inspired by Roland Barthes and the fragments of a lover's discourse, in which he talks about the language as a kind of skin with which we try to reach the other and try to touch the other. So generally, this work acts as a metaphor for the contemporary mediated condition. And the player is asked to read the poem and also move inside this landscape that is produced in this dialogic system, and sometimes interact or sometimes write down an intimate thought or give some answers that are collected anonymously in order to make a think tank, maybe for the next project. And at that point, I would like to invite Apostolos, my colleague, to talk about the sound design and the sound atmospheres of this work.
Hello, thank you, Angeliki. Thank you all for inviting here. I'm a sound artist and composer, and well, I do not do poems, but I actually try to approach the poetic side of sound. So I think it's interesting here to share my experience sound-wise. The idea with the sound in this project, because it is poetry with sound, with music actually, was to create an environment that helps the reader immerse into the meaning of the poem and the images, the atmosphere that is invoked throughout the context. So the poem was first completed as visual representation by Angeliki, and I actually had to be in the beginning at the position of the reader. I followed the poem as being a reader and let myself immerse into the environment that was created into my mind. So I recall now that this environment involved some natural landscapes, some colors, and the memory kept some words from the poem that I started whispering. I do that sometimes when I read natural books, natural poems, for example. And actually that was it. I was inspired by it. And so I started creating soundscapes, rain, water-based wavy textures, windy sounds, together with some tonal and musical sounds that need to be there in order to enhance the emotions that derive from the context. I then took the words as sounding objects, create this granular whisper that one can hear when they read. And at this point, I realized that I was the creator of a poetic sound, and I tried to live the experience of the text throughout the sound. The final step was to be again in the position of the reader, only this time the reader was also listener. I had to empty out some things from my mind and from the project itself, from the sound, in order to give space and balance between visuals and sound. And that was the difficult part in this case, actually to guess how the reader feels when interacting with the words and listening to the sounds at the same time. And here the challenge was also that the soundtrack is one track that plays as a loop throughout the text. We had a lot of conversation, a lot of artistic talks with Angeliki in order to decide which version was best. And actually, I have to say here that this kind of material, the audiovisual stuff, involves a lot of balance between visual art and sound art, a lot of respect between one language and the other, in order to create a common language that works as for the immersion into it. I think it was successful, and we're looking forward to other collaborations, maybe like this one, or involving more technology and more interaction, perhaps. That's all I have to say. Thank you, and we can go on.
Thanks so much. It's a beautiful piece, and it was really nice to get the backstory on your collaboration. That's something I've thought about a lot, about the sort of different interactions between visual media and poetry and music and generative music as well. So thanks a lot. And you guys are in Athens, right? Or
she's in Athens, I'm in Corfu.
all right, well, not bad places to ride out.
Yes, indeed. Thank you too very much for the collaboration.
Thanks so much. And I'd like to turn now to John Cayley.